Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Right Balance podcast. I've got a rather special lady with me today, Beth, and it's all about fibromyalgia. Nearly got that wrong, Beth. But I want to get an insight into the condition, how it affects people, and how it affects Beth and her life, what she's done. We're going to go right back to the start, if that's all right, Beth, to give people an insight into what it's like at the very start. So I want to, if it's possible, just start right at the beginning, what your life was like, Beth, right at the beginning, before any medical interventions.
Okay, I was fairly active. I've been a swimming teacher since I was, helping out at 13. So always been quite sort of active in that, outgoing, really laid back. Nothing really annoyed me. I was quite horizontal. Loved to read. My family sort of called me lazy, but I think it was more, I just liked being on my own reading, or I liked going out and partying. It was just one of the other, both extremes.
One end of the spectrum, both ends of the spectrum. And how sort of with the swimming was, obviously you're quite fit to do the swimming, and then obviously teaching the swimming as well.
Yeah, it was really good. My favourite subject at school was PE. I was very good at rounders, netball, cricket was another good one. Wasn't any good at football, but my instinct was to catch the ball, which is obviously not required in football. I did trampolining as well. Actually competed in quite a few competitions. Did synchronized trampolining.
Wow.
Yeah.
So really quite an active upbringing in childhood and adulthood, into early adulthood. What sort of age would you say, or can I put it a different way? Would you say there was a particular trigger for you and your body to have such a reaction to certain things?
So when I got fibromyalgia?
Yeah.
What happened was I actually got blood poisoning from some dirty water in Albania. We went there for a family wedding, and you could see like big angry red marks appearing under my skin, like you could see them growing. So got rushed straight to hospital for that, and originally they thought I might have myositis, which is when your immune system attacks your muscles. So I got to see a rheumatologist really quickly, but it turns out it wasn't that, and it was fibromyalgia. And that's quite an unusual diagnosis for fibromyalgia. Usually people have had it for sort of 3 to 4 years, going around the houses with no explanations, and then they get diagnosed, whereas I had it and about a month later I was already diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
And can you explain to the listeners what sort of symptoms you were experiencing after the red marks on your skin?
Yes, I was very tired, quite weak, just struggling to walk, really stiff.
And so it was the actual opposite of what you've just described previous life, if you like.
Yep.
Absolute opposite of not being able to go trampolining or swimming or whatever. It's that debilitating act of not being able to move forward, I think, is a lot of people explain it like that. And then what was sort of the doctor's visits like? What was the hospital arrangements? Was there anything made for you for that?
I was offered 6 sessions of hydrotherapy, which I went to. And with my job, that was quite good because I could carry it on throughout the week. I didn't have to wait on a week-on-week basis like everybody else in the group did. It was for people with lots of different things. It wasn't just fibromyalgia people. Some people had a bad back, etc. So I was offered that, and that was it.
And that was it. And how was your symptoms at this particular point?
My symptoms now have got worse over time, but I think because I'd been so active before, it seemed very extreme back then.
Okay.
Whereas in actual fact, what I know now, they weren't that bad.
Okay.
But compared to the life that I had before, it was a massive difference.
Yeah, big difference. Again, from one end of the scale to the other.
Yeah.
And how did you find sort of living with it? You mentioned about the tiredness. Was it fatigued as well? Was it unable to walk at certain points, or was it all the time?
So I don't tend to flare as such. Some people can have good days and then bad days, whereas I seem to just be permanently bad.
Okay.
I get very, very fatigued. It's like you've gone to the gym and done a really, really hard session. You didn't warm up properly and you didn't cool down, and then waking up the next day.
Totally exhausted.
Yeah.
And utterly aching all over. Yeah. We've been there. The treatment after the initial diagnosis, what was that? What did that involve, Beth?
I was basically told I could have paracetamol when I needed it, which did absolutely nothing, but that's all that they could offer at that time. It didn't really do a lot, to be honest.
Okay.
It was about 2 years in, I was finally offered something else, which was a drug called amitriptyline, which I took for about 4 years, but it gave me such a dry mouth that it's now completely and utterly wrecked my teeth. So they crumble as well. I've since switched to nortriptyline, which has less side effects, but it's more expensive. So you get amitriptyline first until you complain.
And how were you before you took the amitriptyline? For people that don't know that drug, what's the main reason for amitriptyline?
It's licensed as an antidepressant, but people find it helpful with nerve pain.
Okay.
It's often given to people with shingles, so sort of things like that. But it does make you incredibly groggy.
Okay, so it's kind of filling the body full of these chemicals to dampen down everything, but in reality, it's dampening you down even further.
Yeah.
In reality, it's giving you that.
Yeah, it helps you sleep at night, because you often can't sleep because you're in so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's really difficult the next day. And it's one of those drugs that you have to take all the time. You can't just take it as and when.
Right, okay, to build up that response.
Yeah.
Thereafter. And what sort of, so going forward from that initial investigation and then finding out about after the blood poisoning, what was life like for you? What was your day-to-day life like?
It was really miserable, actually.
Okay.
I had only been married for 2 years at that point, and my husband thought I was putting it on. I was just being really lazy because he'd come home and I've not done the washing up. But I have never ever given up work because of it. I've always continued to work. So I would just use up all my energy to go to work, and I wouldn't have anything left for the washing up. But it's just really difficult to explain to somebody else what's actually going on, because it just looks, there's no outward symptoms, you just look like you're being lazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And have you looked at, or what sort of alternative treatments has helped you, Beth? I know we have worked together before, but your own personal journey for self-help, how would you describe that to everybody listening?
Okay, I have tried, obviously, reflexology.
Yeah.
That has been amazing. You get quite a lot of side effects from the drugs that you take, and reflexology helps with those. It's really relaxing as well, so you can actually give your muscles time off from spasming and working so hard just to do a simple task. My other big therapy is having a nice long bath, because your body's weightless, and the warmth of the body, the warmth of the water, really helps as well. Massage, regular massage, that helps. I know some people with fibromyalgia can't bear being touched, but it's really useful for me.
Yeah. So it's a personal journey, really. It's personal.
Yeah. I think there's like 104 symptoms of fibromyalgia, and not everybody gets them all. So I think that's why it's so hard to diagnose, because it's one thing for one person, and then the next person you see, they're like, oh no, that's different. That's the trouble. You seem to, I know from experience, at the very beginning of an investigation, there's so many different things that mask it, or there's so many different things that point to a certain disorder, and then before you know it, you've actually got 5 or 6 things pointing to the same diagnostic. And it's super difficult. And I think it's one of them conditions where to dig deep is even extremely hard work, to really get to the bottom of things, or to truly understand, why is the body having this effect on me? What have I done? And forgive me if I'm saying this to you, meaning this, but sometimes you start to think, is it me? Why me? Why am I going through all this? And when there's some people who are super naughty and get up to all sorts, never have a thing goes wrong with them. And it's super frustrating. It is, absolutely. Yeah, I've got 2 siblings, one's older, one's younger, and they haven't got anything wrong with them.
Yeah.
But I'll happily collect them all if it means they don't have them.
That's really sweet of you. I also want to go down, you mentioned about you never were out of work, you were always busy and working. I want to bring in an amazing bath product, which is a sideline of yours that you've been doing now for how long, Beth?
About 2 years.
Excellent. So what was the story behind that, and how did that start for you?
Well, as mentioned earlier, like bathing or bathing is a huge therapy for me. Like I will have like a 2 to 3 hour bath pretty much every day. Set up the little iPad on the side so you can watch TV. That's how I don't get bored, because that's what people have always asked me. How do you not get bored in there? Well, I watch TV. So yeah, I have been a loyal customer of another large brand for over 20 years. Wow. And I just thought I would start my own to help with the cost of my bathing habit, and as like a creative outlet. And I just really wanted to produce products that would help people that suffer with pain in any kind of way. It doesn't have to be fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
And I have got a few loyal customers now who have aches and pains and various ailments that really like using them.
And right across your range, you mentioned the bathing situation, but obviously, what other products can people purchase from your website, Beth?
So I've got massage oil.
Okay.
So you can use that for any aches and pains. You've also got this shower gel and shower steamers, so you don't have to have a bath. I've got body scrubs, whipped soap, that's a really popular one. I've also got like a scrub and a soap in one, so you can just do one step and then go.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Bath bombs, bubble bars.
So these are all on your website, Beth, is that right?
Yes,
People
they are,
can
yeah.
access the website. Also, at the end of the show, you will find the show notes that include all the connections for Beth's website and Facebook page as well. And I'd like to take this opportunity, Beth, to thank you for joining me on the Right Balance podcast and try to get the word out there about fibromyalgia. Is only one of the disorders that I want to talk about, but it's such a huge area, and just to get an insight into somebody who's gone through it, knows what it feels like, and is still wearing the t-shirt, but has such a zest for life and to carry on. And I'm so happy. I have experienced your bath products and they are beautiful. The smells are wonderful. So I do take my hat off to you for that. I think it's wonderful. I wish you all the very best, both business and in health. And I hope to catch up with you very, very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
My
Beth.
pleasure.